So the wait is over and Skyward Sword HD finally comes out tomorrow. I'm extremely excited to play this game again. It's been such a long time, and if you've seen any of my other videos going over this game before, you might know that this was the first big new Zelda game I followed the development of, so it holds a special place in my heart. I know a lot of you are also very excited to play this game again or pick it up for the first time. I'm really looking forward to see all of you who started the Zelda series with Breath of the Wild experiencing this classic 3D Zelda game. But I also know there's a lot of people still on the fence about picking this game up. Whether that's from your past experience playing the game on the Wii, what you've heard about it from people online, the pricing of the game, or if you're just not sure you'll enjoy it. And this is totally understandable in my eyes. Skyward Sword has sadly been bashed a lot by people online over the last 5 to 6 years, and its reputation seems to have gone down because of it. Along with the slight controversies around pricing of the remaster and even the amiibo, I can see how some people might be a little hesitant in paying £50 for a 10-year-old Wii game. So today I want to go over this game a little, talk about what you can expect from the game and the changes coming to it to make it even more enjoyable. But if you don't want to sit through this whole video for my full thoughts, it's worth it. Go pick up Skyward Sword. I feel the best place to start is with the story. Now, don't worry, I won't be going over spoilers for the story, I also want to go over its connections and importance to the Zelda series as a whole. I'm sure many of you already know this, but Skyward Sword takes place right at the start of the Zelda timeline. Meaning obviously, all the Zelda games, even those that were released before this, take place after this game. That alone makes it important to the series, but all of the new ideas and lore brought in by this story have had a large and important impact on the story of games released both before and after it. Breath of the Wild actually uses a lot of this new lore in its story and characters, and I can already see this coming into play a lot more with its sequel. Within this game, we get to see the first Link, Hylia's first hero. Learn of him and understand why Link is always the hero of Hyrule. We learn about Zelda and her importance to the series and Hyrule in the future, not just as a princess but as something much more. It's the game that shows and explains the creation of the Master Sword. And this is also the game where we get to see some explanation towards why so much evil has always surrounded Hyrule throughout the series. There's also a lot of other smaller things that make this story and its lore important to the series, but I feel those 4 points are the most important. They're the elements and people who turn up in most of the other games, and so learning about why they are the way they are is a very interesting and important thing that can add to the stories of the other games. Like I mentioned a little before, Skyward Sword has a lot of connections with Breath of the Wild and its sequel. For those of you who got into the series with Breath of the Wild, I would say Skyward Sword is probably the next best Zelda game for you to try out, because of its connections to that game. It may be a very different game in terms of its gameplay and world, but having those bits of familiarity from Breath of the Wild with its story and even some characters, I feel is a good way for some people to feel comfortable going into this game. And also, you get a better understanding of the story of Breath of the Wild from knowing more about these characters from this game. Controls have always been a huge talking point around Skyward Sword. The original Skyward Sword used full motion controls with the Wii Remote. Using your sword was done by swinging the Wii Remote, rolling and throwing bombs was done with the Wii Remote, balancing on ropes, using your bow and arrow, controlling the beetle or your bird, and even using boss keys, all done with the Wii Remote. I luckily never had any problems with the motion controls in the Wii version of this game, and actually found them to be very responsive, engaging, and fun. But a lot of people did find them annoying and hard to use, and this is something that led to the game being frustrating and not fun for many people. With talk around a remaster for Skyward Sword, the controls and how they would be done on Switch have always been a big conversation point. But Nintendo, I feel, have done things in the best way. They've brought back the original motion controls with the Joy-Con, but also added in traditional button controls. As someone who enjoyed the motion controls in the original, I'm very happy to have this option to pick between them, and I actually feel I may be playing with the buttons to see how this game plays with them. As the motion controls were such a big thing for many people, and even the reason a lot of people dropped this game, I think it's such a good thing that they're adding in button controls. This way the game will now play a lot closer with other 3D Zelda games. Because this game was originally made with motion controls in mind though, they have done some things a little different with the button controls, mainly with how the sword works. Within other 3D Zelda games, using the sword is mostly done with a press of a button, moving the control stick and holding the button longer for different attacks. In Skyward Sword HD though, because of the original motion controls, the sword is used with the right analog stick, and you move it in the direction you want Link to swing his sword. In my eyes, this is a very good and fairly simple way of doing the sword for this game, as it still needs to be used a lot within puzzles and fights where you need to be precise with your placement. They still needed a way for you to be able to move the sword freely. I obviously haven't been able to try these controls out for myself at the time of making this video, but from what I've seen of the game, they look to work very well, and I'm looking forward to trying them out myself. Again, having both motion controls and traditional button controls is perfect for this game, and that alone I hope will have people who originally dropped the game because of those motion controls coming back to retry this amazing game. Skyward Sword HD has added in a lot of new quality of life improvements, things that were very needed in this remaster. I love Skyward Sword, but even I can't deny the amount of little things this game had that we didn't need. The one thing a lot of people were asking for was for your helper character Fi to be less intrusive. It's kind of expected for helper characters to pop up now and then to let you know what to do, but Fi really takes it too far in the original Skyward Sword. In a video I did a while ago on the game, I mentioned just how bad she was at times. Sometimes you would talk to another character and they would tell you something only for Fi to pop out as soon as you finish talking with them to repeat the same thing again, only slightly worded differently. And this was done not just with important story moments and progression, but just random side quests as well. It was really just too much. But luckily, Nintendo have heard our cries and Fi's intrusive help has been dialed back a bunch. She will still pop up from time to time, but it will be much less. Nintendo has shown that instead of her popping up without warning to tell us something, we now get a little notification from her. She has a little icon on the screen that will now flash when she has something to tell you, and we can pick whether to listen or not. A really big needed change that I'm very happy they've included. Something else that was very annoying when playing this game was picking up items. In Skyward Sword, like in Breath of the Wild, we can pick up and collect materials. These materials were then used for upgrades. In the original Skyward Sword, when picking up items, we would be told what this thing was and what it did. But the game would do this every time we started a new session. If you picked up something and kept playing and found another, you wouldn't get a pop-up. But as soon as you saved, quit, and came back into the game, the next time you picked one up, it would do the pop-up again. As you can probably imagine, this got pretty annoying pretty fast. There's only so many times someone can be told what an amber relic is. Luckily, Nintendo have again changed this, making it so after the first time you pick something up, even if you save and quit and come back into the game, you will not get a notification telling you what it is again, making the gameplay flow a lot better and having us be a lot less annoyed. I would say those are the two biggest quality of life changes that people really wanted, and it's nice to see Nintendo delivering. But we also have some smaller things as well. Obviously, with having a higher frame rate, it makes the game look and play a lot smoother. Text seems to move faster and can be fast forward, making it far quicker to talk to characters and will come in handy on replays. Cutscenes can now be skipped, which will also come in very handy for replays. The camera also seems to work how it did in other games like Breath of the Wild, and it makes it far better than having to press the Z button all the time to center the camera behind us. And we also now have an autosave function, something that was not in the original Wii version. This is a lot of quality of life improvements, far more than I thought they would do, and it's going to make playing through this game far more smoother and enjoyable. I also wouldn't be surprised if there was a couple more smaller changes that might be in play in the game later. On the topic of quality of life improvements, I also wanted to quickly talk about the Zelda amiibo for this game. A lot of people seem to have been pretty mad that the ability to fly to the sky at any time, even within dungeons, was locked behind an amiibo. And yeah, locking stuff like gameplay features behind an amiibo is annoying, but I just wanted to mention this for anyone who hasn't played the game and might want to know. The bird statues, the thing that we use to get to the sky, are pretty common. There is always one around the beginning and the end of a location, one by the entrance of a dungeon, and there are others scattered around key spots in each area. You don't need the amiibo to get to the sky when you're in an outside area. You'll always be fairly close to a bird statue. And within dungeons, I don't think many people will be needing to go to the sky while in the middle of a dungeon. While this is some kind of new quality of life feature, I would say it's just a bonus and not really something incredibly needed. So if you're new to the game and maybe worrying that this amiibo locks something that makes the game so much easier to get through behind it, don't worry, you should be perfectly fine. Skyward Sword is an amazing game, and I'm so happy it's finally coming out for the Switch. For a whole new group of people to enjoy for the first time, for people who dropped it originally to try it again, and for those like me who loved the game to experience it all over again. Like I said at the start of this video, Skyward Sword, in my opinion, is very worth the price. It's a fantastic game with an amazing story, beautiful design, fantastic music, and fun characters. And it's something all Zelda fans should play, both old and new. If you're new to the series with Breath of the Wild, Skyward Sword is a great stepping stone to get into the series more with its lore. And with all the new changes and additions being added to this game to make it more enjoyable and streamlined, it's really worth picking up this game on the Switch and paying more for it than getting it on the Wii, in my opinion, as those quality of life changes are huge for the game. Thank you all for watching to the end of today's video. If you didn't already know, I'll be doing a Let's Play of Skyward Sword HD here on my channel when it comes out. So if you're maybe a little still on the fence about getting this game, why not check that out once it starts to see more of the game before buying? If you're new around here and want to see more Zelda content from me, why not check out some of my other videos? I do a little bit of everything as long as I can somehow relate it to Zelda in some way, so I'm sure you'll find something you enjoy. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a video from me, like the video if you enjoyed, and tell me in the comments below if you'll be picking up Skyward Sword and what you're most excited for about the game. Thank you all again for watching to the end of today's video. I hope you've all enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!